The Supreme Court is expected to issue an opinion any day now that would overturn Roe v. Wade, striking down Americans' constitutional right to reproductive freedom. As we wait for that decision, with many people literally waiting outside of the Supreme Court there in the rain, it's like bracing for a huge earthquake that you know is likely to come, but you just don't know exactly when it's going to come. And one way to measure the impact of that earthquake is that nearly all people in the country right now who can get pregnant were born after the Roe decision in 1973. They have actually never lived in a country without a constitutional right to bodily autonomy. Atlantic magazine contributor Molly Jong-Fast writes about this in a personal and poignant essay titled "What My Mom Told Me About America Before Roe." Molly's mother is the famous writer Erica Jong, author of the classic feminist novel Fear of Flying, which came out the same year that Roe v. Wade became the law. Molly Jong-Fast writes, quote, "My world has always been conditioned by an automatic assumption of reproductive rights that my mother did not have when she came of age. I find it hard even to imagine what life was like for women in those pre-Roe years, yet that is the world we're going back to if Justice Alito's leaked draft opinion becomes the law." Molly Jong-Fast joins us now. She's the author of the Atlantic newsletter, Wait, What? Which, that's how I say it, by the way. So I hope that's how you say it. Molly, you write about the stories your mom told you about what life was like before Roe versus Wade. Can you talk about the shock that an entire generation of people who can get pregnant will face when the Supreme Court ruling comes down, likely next week?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be a woman who has rights in one state, but not in another, right? You'll have a certain set of rights in Alabama and a completely different set of rights in New York. I mean, it's going to be totally strange. And it's also going to be huge rollback of rights for women. And, you know, the women in those red states where people are a little bit poorer are going to really suffer the most of it because they are the people who can't afford to drive hundreds of miles to have an abortion. And so that's extremely scary. But yeah, I mean, it's a big change. It's a big shift. And what happened in 1973 was that this abortion Roe v. Wade decision really sort of opened the floodgates to a lot of other feminist litigation. Congress had passed a bunch of feminist rules. You know, you could get a credit card. It just was a big change.
It's such an important point to think about how the Roe decision opened the floodgates, as you say. And you write that after Roe, we got a lot of new laws, including that one that allowed women to get their own credit card. My favorite fun fact about Hillary Rodham Clinton is that when she married Bill Clinton, she could not sign up to get her own credit card. That is how recent this was in American history. Also laws that outlawed sexual harassment and pregnancy discrimination. And you also wrote that, quote, "Roe was the crucial win that saw not only this cascade of laws, but also a decisive cultural shift towards treating women as sentient beings." The message was clear. Being able to control one's fertility leads to being able to control other aspects of one's life. So speak to the idea that if you cannot control when, how, and under what circumstances you want to have kids, you can't control any other part of your life.
Well, and I think that the larger issue is the government is saying, we don't trust you. We don't trust you to control what happens in your body. We're going to make sure you make these decisions the way we want you to. And so in that sense, you're saying that women are not the same as men, right? That we are not trustworthy with our own bodies. And as you see, in 1973, when the Roe decision came down, it meant that other decisions, you know, if you could trust a woman with her own body, you can trust her with a credit card. If you can trust a woman with her own body, you can trust her when she says she's being sexually harassed. If you can trust a woman with her own body, right? So it opened the door to a different way of thinking about women in the law in America. And you'll see, again, there are all sorts of correlations between good, functioning democracies and rights for women. So a country like Ireland recently, a Catholic country, one of the last countries in Europe, they recently gave women the right to choose over their own bodies. And so I do think you see that these countries where they really have autocracy are the countries where they take away rights for women.
Important points. What are some of the distinctions you see in the pre-Roe America and what we're going to have after the Supreme Court's opinion next week. I mean, I think there may be some distinctions because pre-Roe was the whole country. In this situation, we have sort of a piecemeal Gilead. You know, Alabama is not free, but Massachusetts and New York and California and Connecticut, maybe you're more free if you can get pregnant.
Yeah, and I would say the medicine has gotten much, much better. 50% of all abortions are these the pill abortions. Republicans are going to have a lot harder time taking that away. I mean, they will certainly try, but those are very safe. A lot of abortion care has gotten much safer. I mean, that said, you know, you still have a much higher rate with pregnancy-related death for women of color. And so that is, incredibly disturbing and worrying, especially with something like this, where abortion, one of the things with abortion is you will have doctors not performing abortions on women who are, where their lives are in jeopardy. And there certainly is legislation coming down that says that there aren't exceptions for the life of the mother. And there's going to be, questions about whether or not doctors get prosecuted. And I mean, this is going to be, you will see people undoubtedly not get the abortions they need to save their lives because doctors are worried about going to jail. I mean, that is what happens in countries where abortion is not legal.
It really does. And I think a lot more people are going to become familiar with what happened in recent Latin American history, although they're going the opposite direction of us on many of these issues. Molly Jong-Fast, thank you so much for being here today and talking us through all of this. Please stay safe. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.